Welcome back, everyone, to another exciting episode of the Functional Longevity Podcast. We give you insight on how to get fit, feel younger, and live better. I'm your host, Chris Porter, best-selling author and owner of Y.E.S Fitness. And let me first thank you for taking time from your busy day to listen to what I have to say. And before I get any further, let me also thank our sponsor, Y.E.S Fitness. Most people lose the ability to enjoy life as they age. At Y.E.S Fitness, we help people age 40 plus get fit so they can live longer and enjoy those extra years doing the things they love to do. Some quick housekeeping here. If you'd like to get a transcript or a timestamp of today's broadcast, you can head on over to yesfitnessct.com. Right across the top, you'll see a button. It says podcast. Click on that, and that will give you access to, 300 episodes now, I think is what we're at. You can also get this podcast wherever podcasts can be found. So boost your longevity with particular supplements. As you know, on the Functional Longevity Podcast, I have shared the importance of finding reliable supplements to support your healthy aging. After searching for a reputable company I could trust, I finally found Particular. It's a US-based brand. They deliver high-quality science and integrity. And they offer a wide range of premium supplements. Right now, I'm taking NMN for cellular energy and aging support. I also take the resveratrol to enhance heart and health. And I also take some berberine, which is for blood sugar balance and metabolism. But they have many more products, all crafted with care right here in the USA. So as I said, I've been taking these products for a little while now personally. I test them here and there, and those are the three I've been testing over time. And I've seen a change in my energy level, focus, and overall vitality. And I know as you age, I'm 65 years old. I know people always complain about a loss of energy. I have seen these products help me. So if you are if you want to invest, if you're ready to invest in your health, visit particular.com. That's PARTIQLAR.com, and use the code YES15 at the checkout to get 15% off your first order. Your health deserves the best. Start your journey with Particular today. So today's episode, we have got a special guest. His name is Philip Blackett. Hey, Philip, thanks for coming on today.
Hey, nice to meet you, Chris. Happy to be here with you.
I'm great. It's great to have you. We're going to talk about a topic that is very interesting to me, and I think all of my listeners will be interested as well. So Philip is the owner of Home Spa Essentials. It's an e-commerce store that focuses on helping Americans live longer and enjoy life more with their own home spas. He's also a best-selling author who previously has worked for FedEx, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, and Chick-fil-A. He's got a Master's of Divinity degree from Southern Baptist Theological Seminary and his MBA from Harvard Business School. And his bachelor's degree is majoring in political science and economics from the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. So that sounds like a lot of stuff right there. Interesting stuff that you went to school for all that, and now we're in the home spa business, amongst other things, I believe, right? So, but today, first, Philip, talk to me a little bit about what inspired you to start the Home Spa Essentials and how it was on people over 40.
So I figured I'd be a good test case myself, right? So I turned 40 on Thanksgiving this year.
Yeah. Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you. And so obviously for a lot of people, when you turn 40, a lot of people equate that as like the midpoint, like middle age, where some people say that 40 is like a midlife crisis. They start donning new hairstyles or looking at Harley Davidson motorcycles at that point, or one where they have an honest reflection of how their life has been, take inventory and figure out, hey, what do I want supposedly the second half of my life to be like? And so I went through something similar leading up to my 40th birthday. And so something I forgot to include in the bio is that I'm married to my wife, Myra, for about 8 years now. And we have two kids, twin daughters. They're both 7 years old. And So we've been together for 8 years. And so at 40, I was thinking to myself, okay, I've done a lot of things up to this first 40 years. What do I want to do? What's an important goal for me these next 40 years? And I was in church one day, and the pastor was recognizing a couple that had celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
And I was in awe because I was like doing the numbers in my head, and that's what I was like, that's a long time. I only made it to 8 years. That's a long time.
Uh-huh.
And so when I left church, I talked to my wife and I said, I've been looking for like a goal of mine, like a big, far-reaching goal to go for. And I think I found it. I want us, God willing, to both make it to our 50th wedding anniversary, just like the couple we saw.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did the math, and I was like, okay, well, we've been together for 8 years, almost 9. I'm turning 40 this year. That's going to be another 41 to 42 years.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I do that, I'm going to be about 81, 82 years old. I was like, okay, that's doable, even though my grandparents never made it to 80.
Mm-hmm.
Then the question hit me. If I'm going to reach this goal with my wife, what do we have to do and start doing now
Mm-hmm.
to prepare ourselves and give ourselves the best chance, the best odds, at least within our control, of making it to our 50th wedding anniversary 41 years from now? And that's what started me thinking about more side about long-term health and wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole concept of home spa for me, being able to relax, recover, and rejuvenate yourself from the comfort of your home, it really started to appeal to me. And when I started digging a little bit deeper, I realized a lot of people could benefit from this as well. Hence, Home Spa Essentials was born.
So, can you explain to me why the concept of a home spa is particularly beneficial for those in the second half of their life? I found in the fitness industry a few years ago, recovery started to take off. And it always takes a little while for it to seep on down to the general public. So, why do you think is particularly beneficial for those in the second half of life?
Well, once again, I use myself as a test case.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to a certain age, I realize your body doesn't respond the same way as it used to when you were 20 years younger.
That's for sure.
Sometimes even getting out of the bed could be quite a bit of an exercise that you still have to recover from as well. And so one of the common questions I ask people that really kind of helps bring this concept to life is, I go to the gym oftentimes, especially I always try to keep up, stay active physically. And I got to talk to somebody, say, hey, looks like you're reaching for these type of goals, health, wellness, weight wise, and that sort. What's your diet looking like to help achieve those goals? And they'll tell me. And then, of course, I'll then follow up with, what is your exercise routine looking like? Are you running? Are you lifting weights? Are you doing Pilates or yoga? That sort of thing. And then I ask them the question, okay, you got diet together, exercise together. What is your recovery routine looking like? And that's when I get the blank stares.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you mean recovery routine? Like I go to sleep afterwards, or, I go sit on the couch after I take a shower and I see what's on TV, on Netflix, of that sort. And so I think, to me, as we get older, one, we all recognize that our bodies are much different as we age.
Yeah.
And we should take better care of it because of that. But then two, I'm a huge sports fan. And whether it's basketball or football, you're seeing athletes at the top of the game, and you recognize that there's a lot that goes into them being at top performance. And a huge part of it is how do they recover from those workouts and those games and those contests. And I ask myself, why is it that it's accepted for such professional athletes to invest in themselves to help them recover, while at the same time, as we get older people in the second half of our lives, what are we doing to help ourselves recover from the day-to-day whether at work or if we're working out, playing with the kids or the grandkids, or just trying to get out of bed. There's a number of things that if you're trying to extend your life or enhance the quality of your life as we get older, we have to take a serious look at how do we recover on a day-to-day basis, not a once every month or maybe on your birthday at the spa sort of routine.
Well, what leads me right into my next question is, so how does the comfort and convenience of the home spa compare to the traditional spa visit when you only get to do that once a month, if that?
I think you answered your own question. Because when I remember it when I was younger and I was in a relationship with a woman back in college, I thought it was a huge thing anniversary wise. Okay, I'm gonna get the certificate to treat her at this day spa. It's gonna be like 4 hours. I'm gonna muster up $200-$300 for that to happen. She's gonna love me forever. She's gonna marry me. We're gonna be having a great life. But I recognized after that spa treatment, she needed or she had that same desire to do something similar the next month. Well, I don't have $200-$300 I can just shell out every time just to go get the same spa treatment. So the thought that came in my head on that one is, for a lot of people, spas are great. They're great birthday gifts, great anniversary gifts, great. Have a spa day, honey. Enjoy yourself. Time away from the kids or the grandkids. But then you recognize, okay, why is this just kind of a occasional thing you do? Even though the treatment itself is really good for your body, why not have a way to treat yourself somewhat similarly on a more ongoing basis? And so the thought that came to my mind is, obviously trying to go to a spa every day or every week for a lot of people, it's just not financially feasible. But the best thing, if you can't do that, the best alternative is, what are elements of a spa that you can see about including into your home? Because I ask people the question, where is the one place that you feel the most comfortable in?
Okay.
And they answered the home. And so the thought is, if we can include elements of a spa inside your home, you're much more likely to use it, much easier to access it. It's much more convenient. You don't have to get in the car and drive. You don't have to share it with strangers. You don't have to pay out of pocket each time. And more importantly, just like sticking to a diet or sticking to an exercise routine, this is something that you can more than likely be more consistent in, because some of these treatments, some of these things you can include, they recommend having at least a weekly frequency on this, a weekly cadence.
Well, we're going to talk about the different treatments in a few minutes, but before we get to that, so what would you say are the essential elements needed to create that home spa on a budget?
Yeah, so I think for me, the type of things I kind of focus on is essentially hydrotherapy, so the use of water, and muscle recovery. The other ones that I talk about is heat therapy and cold therapy, which combined, you can get this whole sense of contrast therapy we can talk about later. But, what basically comes off is the beauty about home spas is it very much is to your liking. This is something that, based off of where you are, physically speaking, your health wise, what are you trying to achieve? You try to figure out what are those goals you have and what are the elements that can help you further what you're trying to do. So if I think about hydrotherapy, for example, if it's something where a hot tub, which when I was growing up, Chris, if you went to a house with a hot tub with your friend, you're like, oh, this is great. You must have a lot of money. Like you're
Right.
like entertaining people on the weekends and that sort. But then you realize it's like, okay, when you look beneath the surface or under the cover, you recognize that hot tubs actually have a good sense of benefit as far as like being in the water, the buoyancy, the heat, as far as like kind of basically enlarging, getting more oxygen through, because your blood vessels, they get wider and that sort. The comfort. And the question that comes out of that is, like, if that's the case there, I wonder what type of experience would it be to have this for 15, 20 minutes every night, as opposed to, oh, I just went to my friend's house this weekend. Oh, it was nice, just entertaining. So I think those 4 categories for me, I think about heat therapy, cold therapy, hydrotherapy, and muscle recovery. Depending on what you're looking for, those broad groups is what I would focus on when you're thinking about a home spa.
Okay, so it's, just like with exercise, you're taking a look at what the goal is. I mean, for a beginner, if somebody's starting out, you're going to talk to them. Goal, what are we trying to accomplish? What, and then you give them a recommendation on what you feel is the best place to start, the best modality to start.
Right.
Okay. So you have a book, which you'll be able to get a link to the book in the notes with today's broadcast. It's titled Relax, Recover, Rejuvenate, How to Create Your Ultimate Home Spa. So it's a great book. I think it was 84 pages long. I wish I had it before I started making my own home spa here, but I know I'm going to utilize some of the information. I bought a spa. I bought a sauna maybe 6 or 8 months ago. And I love it just for that reason, because I finished working out and now I can get in the sauna 4 or 5 days a week. So what are some of the key takeaways the reader can get from your book? And they'll be able to get that book in the show notes.
Yep. So a couple of key takeaways I get from it, from writing it, was, one, there's a huge myth that a lot of people believe that a home spa is essentially for the wealthy and well-to-do.
Right.
This is something that, oh, it's out of my reach. I can never afford it. So I just will relegate myself to a occasional, on my birthday, go to a spa and think it's actually doing something. Right. And the truth of the matter is, depending on what you include on there, as far as what your home spa is, it actually can be affordable. And you look at it as just like furniture for some people. It's like, okay, if you need a couch, you need a bed and that sort of thing, you don't just say, oh, I'm just going to sleep on a sleeping bag. No, your sleep is worth the investment to get yourself a nice, sturdy bed that's right for you. And so oftentimes I would share with people that say, listen, like, you can do your own home spa, quote unquote, with something as simple as a premium massage chair and a hot tub. That could be your home spa, just 2 items. I look at it in the sense, like, at least 2 items can help encompass what your home spa is, because the thought is, if you love massage treatment, for example, but you can't afford massage therapists around the clock, would it be helpful? Would it be beneficial to look into a premium massage chair to have in your favorite room? And the thought is that every time I come from work, I mean, of course, going home, seeing my family, that's exciting and that sort of thing, great. But there's another reason why I'm excited to get back home. It's because there's a chair that's waiting for me that's very similar to as if I went to the spa down the street and signed up for a 60-minute massage session. I can actually have it in my home, wearing the clothes I want to wear, drinking the beverage I want, watching the TV show I want to watch. And if I do that on a day-to-day basis, you're more likely going to be feeling a lot better than you did if you didn't have it.
Is there a surprise tip or piece of advice from your book that listeners might not expect? Is there anything in there that's just going to be like, oh, wow, I never even thought of that?
So I think you kind of included it too, Chris. Like saunas. Saunas are actually much more accessible and doable than people realize. And
my sauna's 4x6. It's traditional, meaning we can throw water on the rocks. it cost me about $3,000, and it cost about as much money to run my dishwasher. And it's super easy to put together. They were just panels, clip, 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 put this thing in. The biggest expense would have been the electrician, but my son's an electrician to hook it up. And,
Nice.
I particularly went with that because I wanted to get the benefits in 20 minutes. I didn't want to have to be in there for 45 minutes. But yeah, and I was saving my pennies for years, not even knowing what it cost. And then one day I said, you know what, I got a few $1,000s. Let me see what this thing costs. I'm like, wait a minute, I could buy this thing right now. I don't have to wait. Let's get some stuff out of the basement.
Mm-hmm.
People don't realize it, that you can afford some of this stuff.
Yep. And especially with the sauna, like I was doing an article earlier. So I don't want to try to paraphrase it because I might get it exactly wrong. But it was something along the lines of, if you think about regular sauna use, not like once a month, not like once a week, like to your point, like recommended usage of a sauna in your home of like 15, 20 minutes, like at least every other day. And the long-term benefits of that, whether it's like heart related, overall health, being able to get a lot of the bad stuff out of your system. Because it's just one of those things, just like that continued use. If you have a sauna there and you're using it every other day, Chris, I'm pretty sure your health, if nothing else, keeping everything else the same, is going to be much more on the benefit side for you than not. But we have to also do our part to help debunk the myth that, hey, saunas are only for the well-to-do. Saunas are only, they cost way too much. It's out of my price range. It's like, no, not necessarily. And you actually can fit it in a corner in your room,
Right?
If you want to. You don't need this elaborate, dedicated room either.
Let's take a look at each of the modalities here a little bit. So since we're talking about saunas, let's talk about heat. How does heat therapy enhance your muscle recovery and relaxation? I talk a lot about longevity in particular, but I typically don't talk about muscle recovery and relaxation. And people think they just go to the gym and just go, like you said, go home and sit on the couch and watch Netflix, when some heat therapy afterwards would really enhance your workout and your recovery.
Yeah, so it's one of those things that, heat therapy, it can go off a number of different things. Like, of course, you think about saunas. I could also include like steam showers.
Oh, okay. I didn't think about that.
And the different types of saunas as well. So I think part of it is one, let's take saunas, for example, traditional or infrared saunas. What's helpful about that on one end is there's a good sense of helping you sweat to help detoxify your body, to start to get, whether it's precious metals or certain wastes or certain things that you can't expel otherwise, that get outside of your body. Another benefit of that is the sense of really like getting more oxygen throughout your body, because your blood vessels are dilating, they're widening. As they expand, it allows more of your blood, which carries the oxygen, especially to places that need it, as far as like sore muscles are concerned. It helps being able to do that. And so I think that those are two items in particular that come up top of mind. Let's see, I think another one would be more so just a relaxation. I don't know if you've ever been in, well, you have, because you have a traditional sauna.
Yeah.
But just a sense of having a sense of a meditation place.
Right.
A place where, yes, you're going to sweat, but once you get to understanding that that's part of the process, and you're letting the process have its do its work, then you spend that 15, 20 minutes in a confined place, maybe by yourself. Maybe that's a place where you get some quiet time to think things through, or just relax and completely turn off from regular life. So something like that could be helpful as well. And not to mention the fact that it actually could help with weight loss too, because you are losing a lot of excess water, for that matter as well.
Mm-hmm. So let's take a look at the other side of the coin here. Let's take a look at cold therapy. So for cold therapy, it's gained a lot of popularity in recovery recently. And how does it work to reduce inflammation and promote healing?
Yep. So I think cold therapy is helpful, partly because I know for me, and I speak out of personal experience because I actually take cold showers each day.
Mm-hmm.
I started off with like 30 seconds at the end of a shower, and now I've gotten up to 3 minutes.
Wow.
And I definitely recommend doing that towards the end of the shower so you can exit right out and start warming up. So when it comes to inflammation or reducing inflammation and muscle soreness, it's helpful because what it's doing is helping constrict the blood vessels, and it essentially helps you redirect that blood flow to more vital organs that need it. And at the same time, what also happens too is that when you're exposed to cold, your heart's going to likely start pumping faster, because it's like kind of like a shock therapy. Like, oh my gosh, like we weren't expecting this. It's colder, heart's pumping faster to help keep your body temperature going. So that can help with your heart rate to raising that up. And then in addition to it, it can also help release stress hormones too, like cortisol, in the process of that sort of exposure. And then lastly, one of the things I've learned is that it helps with increasing metabolism by also, with extended exposure, helping promote and activate brown fat, which I didn't know about before. I didn't know it exists. I was like, oh, there's a certain color fat.
Yeah, there's brown fat.
And so I was like, okay, that's interesting. But the cold exposure can actually activate brown fat. They call it brown adipose tissue, I believe it's called.
Tissue. Yes, adipose tissue, yes.
And so they actually see that as like the good fat, as the fat that, helps burn calories to generate the heat. So if you're exposed to cold and your body knows that it's colder than it needs to be or usually is, your heart rate is going up, and it's also helping activate the brown fat as well to help generate heat. Well, by burning the calories, guess what? You're burning calories, which also helps with weight loss as well.
I know my own personal experience. I got the sauna, a traditional sauna. So the recommendation for a traditional sauna is about 176 degrees, 20 minutes, a minimum of 4 times a week. That helps, as you see, like the people in Sweden that live longer, less heart disease. Yeah. My dad died of a heart attack at 64. So heart disease is a big concern of mine. And so that shock, it acts as almost like moderate intensity exercise is really what happens in your body when you're in that heat like that. And then when I get out and I jump in my shower and I take a cold shower, I'm not a big cold person. I don't like cold, but that contrast from the heat to the cold just puts the body in a defense mode and activates things called sirtuins and things like that. And it kind of really shocks the body. And that's when the body gets shocked, when the body gets challenged, hormesis occurs, and you start to put the things in motion necessary to live a little bit longer. And I can't stand the cold, so I'll take the cold for a little while. But I do know some people that go back and forth. They go to the heat, then they jump in the cold, they heat, which is great. You do that, right? That's not for me. Like, it's a one-time. I'm not getting in the cold only more than once, but that's the thing people do now, as it gets out there. And you can do it without, like you say, you can do it in a cold shower. You don't need an ice bath, right? Or an ice tub. I forget what they call it.
Cold plunge tub. And yeah.
Cold plunge club. Yes.
Yeah. Cause I figured, as I told my wife, I said, let me work my way up to that. Okay. Let me understand. Cause okay, if I can't stand a cold shower beyond 30 seconds,
right,
then maybe we shouldn't make an investment in an actual cold plunge tub that you plug up and you put ice and all that jazz and that sort. And so, yeah, it started off like I do contrast therapy where it's like I'll take a shower and it's about a normal heat for me. Towards the end, after I've washed, I'll crank up the heat to about as hot as I can do it. And thankfully, my wife helped me out. She said, "Hey, Philip, make sure you let the windows out next time because the mirrors were beyond foggy last time." I said, "Oh, okay, thank you for the reminder." And she's like, "I don't want the walls starting peeling all of a sudden." It's like, okay. So I'll turn the heat up as the hot water as hot as I can bear it. And I'll be there for like another like 2-3 minutes and that sort. And part of me is thinking like, okay, this will help prepare me for the cold, but also thinking contrast therapy at the same point. So there's steam going on, there's the heat from the water and that sort. And then I pull the dial all the way down right before the water goes off. And I'll basically fluctuate every 45 seconds, on the front, turn around, 45 seconds, turn around, 45 seconds, turn around, and then turn it off. But that sense of shock, to your point, is helpful because I'm exposing myself to now, like the first time I was like screaming 30 seconds into it. Now it's like my wife can't hear me 3 minutes in when I come out, and it's almost like there's no big deal. And I think that sort of exposure, just like with the sauna, that's the recurring theme I'm trying to help people with, whether it's with the book or with Home Spa Essentials. It's like, it's not so much just the elements of the home spa itself. What we're talking about is very similar to what is required to be successful with a diet and with an exercise routine. And what that is consistency. If you do this over time, you don't cheat, or if you have to, maybe one day of the week. But if you stay consistent, that's what's going to help, because that's going to build that long-term health for yourself as you get older. That sense that when other people are falling and flailing around, you've now built that, resolve. You've built that sense of yourself where it's like you can keep going, you can persist, you can do more, you can play more with your grandkids longer than you did before. You can still have energy after 8 hours on the job. Because you do the little things either before work or after work, before you go to sleep, and that sort of thing that helps you over time.
So we're talking about water here a little bit. Let's jump into hydrotherapy, which I don't know very much about at all. So can you explain how hydrotherapy works to support joint health and your overall recovery?
Yep. So I talked a little bit about it with regards to the hot tub. But even like if you're like doing like water aerobics, is helpful too, since it's dealing with water as well. One of the big things that happens there is, just like I mentioned with hot tubs, there's a buoyancy factor. So even if I'm in a pool and that sort, what's helpful is, there's so much weight that your bones have on you, and you're walking and you're picking up stuff and that sort. It's kind of nice to be in a place where you feel like not exactly zero gravity, but it kind of helps where you feel like the water's like lifting you up a little bit. It's not your own energy and that sort. So it kind of soothes whatever stresses you may have. Another part of it too is, and if it's not hot tubs you get into on the outside, jetted tubs could be another one from the inside. So you think about your traditional bathtub you might have. There's no jets in there. It's just basically a basin. You just pour water in and you just sit in it.
Yeah.
What would happen if you had massage jets in there to help target certain areas of your body with the water to help relieve some of that tension? I think that's one that could be helpful too, in addition to the temperature. So you have almost like a trifecta as well. It's just like, okay, the buoyancy, the heat or the cold, and then the massage jets where it's like water that's just hitting that where you're sore and that sort. I mean, given the fact that our body is like what, 70-80% water, like this can definitely be helpful for you.
So on let's jump to muscle recovery, because that's something that we talk about all the time at our gym. Muscle recovery, you work out, let's go home and do what we need to do to get ready. I work with young athletes, same thing. They think they can just continue to play and not do what they need to do to recover. So what are some of the most effective ways to use home spa tools for muscle recovery after workout or physical activity, or even if it's working outside in the yard?
Mm-hmm. So I think a couple of things come to mind for me. It's not hydrotherapy, but it's cold therapy that I would include in muscle recovery, and that's cold compression.
Okay.
So, I used to be one that used to like load up on icy hot whenever I played basketball. But what I probably should have done better was do more cold compression of just having concentrated, you know, efforts as far as like to help reduce the inflammation on the muscle and reduce the soreness that can happen, which would help aid muscle recovery. Um, Another one that comes up, I'm still learning a little bit more, but I'm pretty enlightened by it, pun intended, is red light therapy.
Red light therapy. Mm-hmm.
So that's basically in a sense where you're exposed to certain types of light that actually can help generate cellular function and help promote cellular growth. So I wasn't a whiz in biology, just FYI. So there's only so much I can quote here. I do know of mitochondria and ADP, but beyond that, there's only so much I know. But basically, it's the thought of, once again, exposure. So whether exposure to steam or to hot or cold water, or in this case, red light, that essentially your body responds to it. And it can respond to it in a sense of cellular growth, which could be in a sense of regrowing hair for some people.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to muscle recovery, as far as like the growth of your cells and your muscles after a long workout. And the last one I tend to major more so on than others is the massage chair.
Mm-hmm.
The thought is that, hey, a common reason that people go to the spa is because they want to lay on that massage table and just relax and let the masseuse do his or her thing. And you have massage chairs nowadays that are very much formatted in a way to know the exact type of movements or types of massages that you basically can just program that can essentially massage you almost literally head to toe, just with a program in and of itself. And so the thought there is just, hey, like when you're tense and you need to relieve that tension, you have sore muscles, like this all helps. Where I would love to combine something like a massage chair with a sauna that has red light in it, and then take a cold shower afterwards,
Right.
right before I go to bed.
Red light is my next investment after the sauna, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. That's what I'm taking a look at. So for someone who's just getting started and looking into this kind of stuff, I would recommend they download your book.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to give them all kinds of information, stuff they never even thought about. 2, then would they head on over to your website? Your website is homespaessentials.com, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you head on over to homespaessentials.com. And how do you communicate with them? Do they communicate with you, or how do they figure out what they want to purchase?
Yeah, so they can communicate. So I have our team accessible there either by phone or email, and both of those are available on the website. So if you do have a question while you're browsing, feel free to give us a call. You might even get me on the phone as well. So it might just be me and you having the conversation. But yeah, like I think the goal is that start with the book and start to educate yourself, start to debunk some of the myths out there. Because for a lot of people, the concept of a home spa is pretty foreign. And I think that's kind of what excites me about it. It's just helping educate people and enlighten people that, hey, it is possible for you to have some way of recovering from the comfort, convenience, and privacy of your own home. We just got to help you understand what that's like, and then help you figure out what do you need, what's going to help you further your goals health-wise, and then figure out what are the 2 or 3 items that said, hey, I'm going to have a dedicated space in my own home, And this is where I'm going to have these places and these items. And more importantly, as we talked about, what's going to be your routine? What is going to be your recovery routine? How often are you going to use this stuff? Because what it's going to promote is, once again, helping you achieve those long-term health and wellness goals.
And it's about being consistent. So having it at home, it makes it a lot easier to be consistent.
Absolutely.
You're not to jump in your car and go somewhere. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you have anything else you can add to this, Philip, or do we cover everything I think we need to cover to get somebody started here?
Yeah, I think so. I think we covered a lot. I think the big thing, the first step is, so people don't get overwhelmed, is grab a hold and download the book at homespabook.com. Learn about what home spas are, what are the different elements we talked about on the show, and then head on over to Home Spa Essentials and see what kind of items we have there. If you have questions, feel free to reach out to us as far as the team, but just take it one step at a time. Mm-hmm. That's the best way I can say it.
Because it's going to be an investment in your health and your longevity. So make sure you get the right item coming out of the gate. You don't want to pick the wrong thing and say, this was the worst investment I ever made. It's not doing what I wanted to do. So do your research. Everybody do their research. Jump on the phone with somebody who knows what they're talking about over at Home Spas Essentials, and make the first choice, make it the best choice you can have, and build from there, right? We build everything we do in life is a little bit of a process, being consistent and one piece of the puzzle at a time. And before you know it, it's all put together and it's looking and feeling great.
Yep. And it's perfect way you brought it up too, Chris, because the other misconception too is I have to have all the pieces together. And sometimes the good part about it is just start with what's the most important piece to start off with. Mm-hmm. Get started. And then you can always add on as you go forward, because this is, like you said before, an investment in your long-term longevity. Mm-hmm. And so you could start off with something as simple as a massage chair. Right. And then build yourself to say, okay, I want to do something with hydrotherapy this time. Do I want to, redo my bathroom and have a jetted tub instead, or a steam shower instead? Mm-hmm. Or do I think about it and say, hey, I got a free corner here with an electrical outlet. Maybe I want an infrared sauna. Who knows? But I think that's what makes it interesting too. There's not a one size fits all solution here. Right. This is more so the sense of you now have the choice and the control of what your home spa will look like.
Well, I appreciate you coming on today, Philip. I hope everyone got something out of this. You know how to get a hold of me. Anytime you can give me a call, just stop by the gym, email us over at Y.E.S Fitness. And if you want to talk to a real expert on the topic, head on over to homespaessentials.com. And let's get going here. Let's get back to doing the things we need to do to recover, because that's an important to the whole puzzle. Just like sleep is important, exercise, nutrition, de-stressing, recovery is very important. We talk about it all the time. So again, I want to thank you, Phil, for coming on board. And if we have any questions, we'll have you back on again.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, Chris.
You're welcome. Have a great night. Right. And everybody here, you can look for more information from me next Tuesday on how to get fit, feel younger, and live better. Thank